guys, it's Brit. Tonight we're here to talk about a topic that initially I wasn't sure if I was going to cover it or not, but due to some recent events that have unfolded, I figured we could talk about it. So if you're interested in my opinion about Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis's letters that they wrote to defend the awful monster Danny Masterson, then please keep watching. Alright, you guys, so slight trigger warning for this video. I am going to be discussing SA, but I'm not going to be talking about his crimes in detail or anything like that. I do want to focus on these letters that were leaked and exposed, so if the topic as a whole is upsetting for you, totally understand. Please skip this video, but I want to read these letters because I just recently, and before we get into this part of the video, because manipulation, I am not comparing James Charles to Danny Masterson. However, my memory and my mind is still thinking about Raw Beauty Christie and her supporting James Charles. And I think about the common topic or the subject of how far are you willing to go to continue to defend somebody? If you consider them to be your friend, whether you are two creators who have collabed and, kind of worked together over the last couple of years, or if you are somebody who is very close friends with this individual and you have known them for 23 years, no matter what end that your friendship falls on, I still stand back and I look at this as at a certain point, yeah, it's your friend, but if your friend is proven to be a monster, then for me, I know when it's time to sever ties with somebody. And I don't know about you guys, but people that are my friends are not people who are graping people or essaying people or being awful individuals. And before we get into these two letters, I also would just like to say that the very obvious point, a lot of times there are things done behind the scenes and they don't come to light for years. And you'll hear interviews or opinions from people who know these individuals who are recently convicted, recently exposed, and it's like, well, I had no clue. Nobody expects you to be a mind reader. You can't literally see what's going on behind closed doors until it's exposed. But if you are aware of these things that are going on and you continue to defend this person and say, it's my friend, it's my friend, it's my friend, well, like, how long does the damn, friendship tag last for some people? I guess that's my concern. Let's start out with Ashton Kutcher's. And initially when these letters were mentioned, I was kind of thinking, well, maybe they're letters from years ago that people are just talking about, but it took me 5 minutes of research to pull it up, read it for myself, and see that date of July 27th of 2023. So these were written well past everything coming to light and being talked about in detail. So this is not something where it was like, oh, well, that was a 12-year-old letter that was shown or something like that. So I want to make that very clear. Ashton's starts out by saying, my name is Ashton Kutcher. I am an actor, investor, philanthropist, and most importantly, a father. I met Danny Masterson when I was 20 years old in 1998. He instantly became a friend, dedicated coworker, and role model to me. This is Ashton Kutcher's role model, who was just convicted of graping women. And in July 2023, Ashton Kutcher is labeling this individual as a role model. And the cherry on top is he continues by saying, and has remained as such for 25 years. As a friend, Danny has been nothing but a positive influence on me. He's an extraordinarily honest and intentional human being. Over 20, I think there's a the missing, but over a 25-year relationship, I don't ever recall him lying to me. He's taught me about being direct and confronting issues in life and relationships head on, resolving them and moving forward. I would say that Danny Masterson definitely knows how to confront certain things head on and without consent. That's the problem, and that's why he was sentenced to prison. Danny is a person that is consistently there for you when you need him. We've traveled around the world together, raised our daughters together, and shared countless family moments. It's alarming that literally talking about raising daughters and having young girls around this individual, Danny Masterson. It continues and says, not only is he a good friend to me, I witnessed him be a good friend to others and the kind of brother others would be lucky to have. As a role model, Danny has consistently been an excellent one. I attribute not falling into the typical Hollywood life of drugs directly to Danny. Any time that we were to meet someone or interact with someone who was on drugs or did drugs, he made it clear that that wouldn't be a good person to be friends with. Listen, addiction doesn't discriminate, and the thing that I will say is if I had to pick one over the other, I'd rather have a friend that dealt with addiction issues than one that dealt with issues of raping women. And for me, that was an implication that if I were to do drugs, he wouldn't want to be friends with me, which is something I would never want to risk or jeopardize. I am grateful to him for that positive peer pressure. He also set an extraordinary standard around how you treat other people. Like what? Graping them? Not asking for consent? Pushing yourself on somebody without their proper consent? Is that the type of peer pressure that Danny Masterson was showing people? There was an incident where we were at a pizza parlor and a belligerent man entered who is berating his girlfriend. We had never met or seen these people before, but Danny was the first person to jump to the defense of this girl. It was an incident he didn't have to get involved in, but proactively chose to, because the way this man was behaving was not right. He's always treated people with decency, equality, and generosity. After 9/11, Danny was a huge advocate for support of the firefighters affected by the event, rallying his friends and coworkers to pitch in however they could. Danny had a daughter years before I had mine. He set a standard of being a hands-on dad. We have spent countless hours together with our kids, and he is among few people that I would trust to be alone with my son and daughter. That says a lot. Specifically because this was written, a month ago. He's also a dedicated and loyal husband with unwavering commitment to his wife. We have spent hundreds of hours working together. Danny takes his job seriously. He is kind, courteous, and hardworking. He treated everyone from the grips to the teamsters to the actors to the caterers as equals. He showed up on time all the time and always pulled his weight. We have also traveled around the world together promoting our work. That's the second time he's talked about traveling. No one cares about that. I can honestly say that no matter where we were or who we were with, I never saw my friend be anything other than the guy I have described. That speaks loudly. Now, Mila Kunis's echoes basically the same thing that Ashton's did, which is no surprise there. But I want to get into the video that they did responding to their letters being leaked.
They are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or reach homicides them in any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual.
So basically, we're sorry that our letters were leaked. We were never planning on having those letters be shown to the public, and they were, and now we have to basically try to save our own rears by putting out a literally just over a minute long video. Danny Masterson is an awful individual, and I think that he is exactly where he should be. And even though I have not covered this case, it really says a lot to me. Like, at a certain point, you have to question, do I really know this person? If their family comes to you, their mom, dad, brother, sister, whatever, and says, hey, you've known so-and-so for 18 years, and they are literally on trial for being a terrible, awful monster, will you go ahead and write a letter to basically tell the judge that even though we have all this evidence here, that's not actually who this person is? Let me tell you about the person that I know, in order to basically try to sway the judge, even though we are looking at a catalog full of evidence. You have to ask yourself, do I really know this person? And obviously that goes without saying, especially with like these online friendships and stuff. But even in real life, like, do you really know this person? Are you really willing to go to bat this hard for this person? You know, I've been told, don't say things that you wouldn't want the entire world to know. Like, don't type emails or type out messages that you literally would not want other people to see. Those conversations are better left for phone calls or in person. Like, if it's something that is confidential and that kind of thing, like, obviously there's a safer route to go if you don't want everybody knowing. They sent these letters in thinking that these would never see the light of day, and now they're having to defend their defending of a horrible monster that they are painting as a role model and a good guy and say no to drugs. I'd rather have someone who says yes to drugs and no to raping women. That is just where I stand, okay? There's a lot that's being said about Ashton Kutcher and, you know, just many different things. Maybe I'll throw in a couple other videos of stuff that I've been watching.
After receiving backlash for writing character letters for Danny Masterson, both Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis are stepping away from his organization. This is an anti-child sex abuse organization that Ashton started with his ex-wife Demi Moore, and he was the chairman of the board. In a statement that was sent yesterday to the board, Ashton says victims of sexual abuse have been historically silenced, and the character statement I submitted is yet another painful instance of questioning victims who are brave enough to share their experiences. After my wife and I spent several days of listening, personal reflection, learning, and conversations with survivors and the employees and leadership at Thorn, I have determined the responsible thing for me to do is resign as chairman of the board, effective immediately. He continues by saying, I cannot allow my error of judgment to distract from our efforts and the children we serve. He also apologized by saying the mission must always be the priority, and I want to offer my heartfelt apology to all victims of sexual violence and everyone at Thorn who I hurt by what I did. And to the border advocacy community, I am deeply sorry.
This is not something that I'm going to cover on a go-forward basis, But I did think that those letters were very interesting, and their response to letters that they never intended the public to see being shown, it's very telling for me. The things that people will say like this, where they never expected it to see the light of day. But you saw in text exactly how they feel about somebody who was literally just convicted to 30 years for raping women. But anyway, have you guys been following this Danny Masterson court case? Have you been taking in any of the commentary on social media? I know Phil DeFranco has made some commentary about this. But I wanted to throw this in kind of as a one-off. What would you guys do if you're, a friend that you knew for, let's say, over 15 years is literally on trial for something really awful, whether it's SA or anything? What would you do if their parent or family member came to you and said, can you write a letter, even though all of this evidence and all of this information had come out through the trial? Would you still be willing to write that letter? What would you guys do? I'm very interested. So I figured this would be a good little one-off to just have a conversation about. So that's going to be it for now. If you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon.